Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for leaving when my husband bought his sister a car using our joint account without telling me? My 30 female sister-in-law, 21 female, is in college. She struggles with transportation and she doesn't have money to buy her own car. She also relies on her parents for monthly expenses. My husband would drive her places whenever she gives him a call, but it started interrupting his work. It became an issue, and even though I suggested options like getting a private driver to drive her places and get monthly salary, or find a job near where she lives and start saving and travel with taxi temporarily, my husband didn't approve of any of these options, and said that as a family we should do more to help her. Last week, I was at the bank, and I haven't been to the bank in a while since my husband told me that he's been taking care of everything in this regard. I was surprised to find my husband took $15,000 from our account about 2 weeks ago and didn't tell me, nor even mention it. I was mad, especially when I told him at home and he said he took out money to pay for a car his sister showed him, as they have been viewing cars for some time. He said he didn't want to tell me, because he thought I'd get mad and he was planning on returning the money in few months, and was hoping I wouldn't notice. Well, we basically have only $2,000 in our account, and this is not acceptable because I feel like I was being fooled. I told him I have other commitments, and our baby is going to need things that I won't be able to afford, but he said he'd figure something out. I got so tired of him, I needed a break. I went to my mom's house after the argument when he wanted me to just forget it. And next thing I knew, he was mass calling my family telling them my wife left home because she didn't like that I was helping out my sister. It was awful, because he told a different story, and his sister doesn't even realize that I paid for her new car, and I'm now seen as a resentful woman who tries to control her husband. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Jesus Christ. There's no reason he should be buying a car for anyone else without consulting you, if it's a joint account. And he's even more the a-hole for lying and making you look like the bad guy. Clearly you are not his priority. Exactly, a $15,000 car no less. He couldn't have bought his sister a couple $1,000 car if he was going to do it. No, he had to go all out and blow almost their entire savings to buy his sister a top-of-the-line car. That's so beyond ridiculous. There is no reason she needs that expensive of a car if she can't afford it on her own. I'd also be calling the dealership, and making them aware they sold a car with stolen funds. And demand they repo the car and get her money back. Edit, I'll disclose I don't have a joint account, but I assume that for joint accounts to withdraw large amounts, you need both holders' permission, as that's how a friend of mine has it. That's why I made the comment about the money being stolen. I wasn't aware not all accounts are set up this way. Not the a-hole. He stole your money. Think for a second on how you think he would react if the roles were reversed. If you think he would allow you to take $15,000 from him without a fight, then you really need to open your eyes to see the whole picture. He took it and didn't tell you, because he knew what he was doing was wrong. Him calling everyone and telling them stories, is his way of trying to embarrass you into coming back by airing dirty laundry to everyone. Talk to his sister now. Added to add, I see it as him stealing it because he admitted to taking it and not telling OP, and was hoping to replace it before OP noticed. He didn't just steal from OP. He stole from his unborn child. It's worse, this is financial abuse. Let's add in, she's pregnant and her husband decided instead of keeping $17,000 for bills or whatever, should anything go wrong, that $2,000 is enough. Because an adult needed a $15,000 car just that badly. Use whatever is left and get a divorce lawyer immediately, as there's no coming back for financially abusing his pregnant wife. Not the a-hole. For a second, I thought we were talking about like a couple of grand, but he cleared out your savings account in a time where we all need nest eggs. On top of being dismissive to your input, hiding information, lying, and lacking the basic understanding of how a marriage works, he has the gall to bring your family into it? I'm in disbelief. Same. Before I got to the dollar amount, I was thinking he took a bit to buy sister a cheap something that'll get her back and forth, not that that would be right either. But taking $15,000 out of $17,000, is a huge portion of their savings. Even if it was a car for OP and him, that's way too much money to spend behind their back. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother that she has no right to expect anything from me? My mother and I became estranged when I was 14, because she revealed that my dad was not my biological father, his, now, estranged brother was, and she expected me to see my dad's estranged brother as my dad, and forget all about him. My mother and him had an 18-year-long affair, that came out roughly the same time to my dad and me. We did a DNA test. I hoped so hard that my dad would turn out to be my biological father, but he wasn't. I did stay with him though. My dad and I fought long and hard for that. And I have never forgiven my mother. I have no relationship with her because of her actions. She actually thought her husband was more of a father, more deserving of my love, when my dad has done everything for me since I was born. She has mocked my dad and acted like all the wonderful and loving things he did for both of us were somehow bad. I got married in June. It was me and my husband, my dad, his grandparents, my best friend and my husband's best friend. COVID is the reason we gave, but we always planned to elope. We actually wanted to have a location beach wedding, but those plans did not work out. Word got around and my mother found out sometime in September, and she started trying to contact me on social media using fake accounts, until I stopped allowing non-friends to communicate with me. Then she showed up the other week, at my house, to tell me how hurt she and my sperm donor were, that they were not included, and he did not get to be father of the bride. She said she expected more from me. And I lost it. I told her she had no right to expect anything from me, neither of them did. I told her she was a crappy mother and a crappy person, and that she destroyed me and never gave a crap. She argued that I never gave my real dad a chance. I told her to leave and she continued to argue, so I told her I would call the police if she did not go, and I never wanted to see or hear anything from her or her husband again, that they are both dead to me. A few days ago, a cousin on my mother's side reached out to tell me how much I hurt her, and how wrong I was for saying all those things when she came to try and make our relationship better. I don't really think I'm wrong in how I handled it all, but I am open to hearing otherwise. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Just because that man donated sperm doesn't mean he's actually your father. Your mom should be ashamed of herself for being so selfish and making fun of your father, who sounds like an all-around wonderful dad to you. She sounds awful and you have a right to invite/not invite whomever you please to your own wedding. I don't blame you for anything, and I think your reaction was completely normal. Congrats on your marriage, smile. As a wise man once said, he might be your father, but he ain't your daddy. Not the a-hole. She didn't come to your house to make things better, she came to berate you and make you feel bad for not including her and her husband. That's not better, that's, let me win the argument I've been having with you for years. If she and your sperm donor had done things differently, then sure, they could have hoped for a different outcome. But they didn't, they decided to upend your life, trample over your feelings, and then blame you when it didn't work out how they wanted. That is entirely on them, not you. Exactly this. If the mom had showed up to apologize, say that she regrets missing her daughter's milestones, and that made her realize that she wanted to repair their relationship, and that she hopes daughter would too, that would be coming to make things better. Instead she showed up to make things all about herself, her feelings, her sadness, everything that she thinks her daughter owes to her. Not the a-hole at all. Your cousin is a nosy idiot. And good for you for sticking to your boundaries. Your mom sounds like a real piece of work. I'm sorry you got dealt a crappy hand. It's called being a flying monkey. Mom sending out others to get her target. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for revoking my niece's college fund after she tried to steal my dog? I have a college fund set up for my 16-year-old niece, which currently has about $60,000 in it. My sister, her mom, was visiting the house yesterday with my niece. At one point I was feeding Jupiter, who is my dog. My niece started interrogating me when she saw the bag of dog food and noticed that it was vegan. I do in fact feed him vegan dog food with the full blessing of the veterinarian, and under the supervision of a veterinary nutritionist. My sister then joined in on this interrogation, so I just asked them both to leave. I went upstairs while they were gathering their things. When I looked out the window, I noticed that they grabbed Jupiter and were about to drive off with him. I immediately dashed downstairs and out the door, stopping them in time before they went off. I managed to get Jupiter back, and they were both screaming at me about how I don't deserve him. As a result of this incident, I have decided to revoke my niece's college fund, informing them of this fact this morning. I then received a very long and unhinged barrage of texts from my sister, telling me that she is going to sue me for all of the money in the college fund, despite the fact that there was never any contract. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, it's your money. Unless you had it in her name, then that's different. But otherwise, it's your money and you can do with it what you want. Someone tried to steal your pet. Family or not, that's unacceptable. If it was a cat? That would be an entirely different story. They cannot live healthy without meat on their diet. Dogs are more complex but possible. As long as your doggo gets his checkups and the okay of your vet, you are golden. As the above Redditor said, that doggo is your family and they tried to take him away from you. Just cut them off if you think that's possible. Let your sister be left out of court, most likely, out of the lawyer's office, if that's what she wants. Not the a-hole. You still can't steal a cat though because you don't agree with the food choices of the owner. You also can't just steal someone's kids because you think they don't get enough veggie. Not the a-hole. Put the money into your own retirement fund or something. They had absolutely no right to try to take your dog. I do have thoughts about feeding carnivore and omnivore pets vegetarian and vegan diets, but time and place, and if the vet likes it, I love it. There were vegan dogs who lived ridiculously long lives, 25 to 27 years. I'm not sure if vegan diet helped achieve that, but certainly doesn't seem to have done any harm. Cats are a different story, of course. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother that I won't miss her, because she told me I wasn't her child? Before I begin, I would like to put out a disclaimer. Both my parents sacrificed a lot to bring me up. My mom especially threw away a lot of luxuries just so I could have a good life, and didn't let anything get in the way of being a good, no, the best mother. This was just a one-time incident. My mother wants me to be a doctor. It was her childhood dream that she couldn't fulfill, so she thought she could fulfill it through me. I have nothing against doctors, but I know for a fact it isn't for me. I flat out told her no. She has been quiet for a while, but now it's time for applying to college and she asked me to apply for med school. Again, I repeated what I always said, nope, not for me. She started cursing me out and told me I would go to hell for putting her through all this trouble. Then she proceeded to tell me that I was dead to her, and she only had one child, my sister. Something inside me knows that she didn't mean it, and she only said it because she was sad. But the other part knows what she said was wrong. I looked at other colleges, ones that I love, and applied to it. My neighbor asked me in front of my mother, if I would miss my family when I leave for college. I said no, in fact, I would be glad to get out of here. My mother is now crying and telling me that I was ungrateful for saying I wouldn't miss them, after everything they did for me. I asked her why I would miss her if I wasn't her child. She told me she didn't mean it, and that she only said it in the heat of the moment. I told her these are things that's going to hurt me for the rest of my life. Now half of my family is calling me the a-hole. The other half, her and a small percentage, says no a-holes here, as we both had valid reasons to be upset. I think I might be the a-hole for being rude to her. So, what's your judgment? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Parents should never use their children to fulfill their own dreams. Children have their own lives and dreams and are not simple extensions of parents. Hopefully you guys can work through this and regain your relationship. I understand and I hope so too. Not the a-hole. I grew up with a mom that started telling me she regretted my birth and wished I had never been born starting when I was 5 years old. She told me that more than once when she was upset. She also never said she was sorry. I note your mom also didn't apologize. You have every right to feel the way you do. The rest of your family giving you a hard time, never had their mom say they were not their child to them either, so they have no right to comment. You were not rude to your mom, you didn't disown her or try to force her to do anything, that was all her. Opie, I hope you show your mom this thread. Mom, if you are reading this, you have no one to blame for putting your own expectations on your child and then disowning them, but yourself. If you are lucky someday, OP might want to overlook your comments, but don't bet on it. Almost 50 years later, and I still remember all the times my mom told me she didn't love me. She has been dead for over 30 years, and I have never visited her grave, nor have I ever missed her. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I really hope you found peace now. My mom isn't like that at all. She loves me more than anything. I hope we can get past this and go back to being the best of friends we were. Edit. A lot of people in the comments think I shamed my family in front of my neighbor. I would like to clear the fact that my neighbor thought I only said that because I was bored of being cooped up in the house all these days. My mother knows that too, because she never brought up this point. Also, I don't know if this will change your judgment, but I come from an Asian family that values education over everything. Edit. Both my mom and I apologized to each other. I told her I was sorry for hurting her and tried to explain what my ambitions were. She heard it all and told me, as long as I think it's good for me, I had her blessings. She also apologized, like all Asian mothers, cooking me my favorite food. So, all is good. Thanks for your insights, guys. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.